You're speaking, we have Rajat Rajgarhia who's joined into our discussion. He's here with us in the studio. And he entered the studio and he's looking at all of us and he's like, why are you guys so serious, right? I mean, it's just a one day, half a day fall that we've seen so far. So Rajat, welcome to the show. The market has this kind of a setup, right? Where one day, one severe fall and everyone goes into panic mode. But you've seen so many of these cycles. So how do you sort of wade through it?
Hi. So, yeah, well, while yesterday's fall definitely made the headlines, we must remember we are ending this year with almost 15-16% Nifty gain, 30% plus mid-cap gain, and maybe a large number of stocks which have doubled this year. So, it's a year which is ending on a good note with a good return. And I think it's important that market goes through such phases of correction because we have a lot more room to gain in the years to come. We just can't make all gain in 1 year. So these corrections are always good, right? I think the kind of momentum that has been built in on the overall macro and top down remains intact. But yes, when you are in the market, you have to weather, you have to face such days, right? They may not just be one day, they may last for some more time, but nothing to worry.
It's so funny, right? If you map 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was FOMO factor in the market, right? People would say, oh, we wish we could buy defense stocks earlier, wish we could buy, you know, some of these other buzzing spaces. And now suddenly there is the opposite of FOMO. But what do? Do you buy now or do you sort of wait for a few days? What's the approach when markets fall like this?
Well, I think at all points of time, whichever level markets may be in, you have to be very stock specific. And at every time you will still find stocks which are reasonable, whether the markets are at their top or the markets are into a correction phase, right? Overall, when you look at it, you would still believe that this is a market which is trending up, right? Even if it corrects 3-5% here and there, that's okay. I mean, just see the kind of gains we made post the state elections. We have just given maybe 10-15% of those gains, that's all. So I think really nothing to worry. We are still into an uptrend, right? But you have to face such corrections, and by the way, such corrections in a up market are normally very quick, you know, big leg down, but they recover also quite well.
You know, I was not here. Actually, Nigel was not there. I was not there yesterday, and I came back in the evening and I was looking at Twitter and X now, and stock market crash was trending. I said, what happened? You know, it was just 1 day, 1.5% pullback. But anyway, Rajat,
you know, Prashant, just on that. Yesterday, the markets closed negative. Many a days in such markets where Sonia mentioned about FOMO, if the markets correct 100 points also from its peak, that also may be viewed as a crash, right? We are used to, we have been used to market closing at high every day for the last few days.
Used to 1.5% gains, not I think that's a very powerful recency factor in that sense. Rather, let's talk about ideas. You know, market, of course, will do what it wants to do, but you're a ideas person, themes, and what will do well from here. So tell us, what's top of your mind right now? From here, what are the sort of wealth creation opportunities?
So I think the largest wealth creation opportunity remains financials. That may be a consensus view, but at times consensus works also, right? I think everything on the macro augurs well, but more importantly, when you look at the growth cycle ahead, every financial is entering this growth cycle with the pristine balance sheet. In fact, just 2 days back, we released a detailed report on the state-owned banks, right? I think historical multiples will not do justification to the kind of growth that they are looking at. I see most of these banks making newer multiples in this cycle. So I think it's going to be a great investment vehicle when you look at the all. And by the way, today financials has such a big diversity, not just private banks, not just state-owned banks, not just NBFCs, but you have insurance, capital markets, wealth management firms. You can build a large India financial portfolio and still make reasonable amount of money. The second theme which we have been very...
what are the, name 5 names in that space? Well, across the spectrum, top ideas from an absolute return perspective, not about what will beat the benchmark in the next 1 month or 2 months, but absolute returns, because that's what our viewers are concerned about.
Look, I think the two best ideas in financials remain as ICICI and SBI, right? The two large banks, the two banks who are approaching both the balance sheet and the growth cycle very well. And valuations, if you look at State Bank, would roughly be high single-digit P, and ICICI would be just about 10-12 P, right? They still are at 50% discount to the markets with a growth rate which is going to be in line or better than the market over the next 2 years. I don't see how this gap is going to remain for long. So I think you have the two large banks and then you can buy one each broader bank between the two spaces, right? So I think there are enough number of ideas in financials you can choose. And depending upon which product, which management you like, the options are far too many in this space for one to pick from.
All right. Hi, Rajat. Good to see you in the studio. Rajat, what about the small cap space? You know, you just mentioned at the start that it's been a good year for the Nifty. It's been an even better year for the small cap and the mid cap space.
Yeah.
Do you think there are signs of frothiness out there? Or do you think that, in fact, still there are plenty of names that could do very well from here?
So I think just the mere fact that the index has gone up in a particular year may not be the best barometer, because historically always small caps don't move in a linear manner. You, in a 5-year period, you make your return in 2 years in the small caps. Sometimes first 3 years you make nothing, next 2 years you make, or the other way, right? I think more importantly is that when you are into a growth cycle with a moderating or a peak interest rate view being formed, liquidity plays its own role in the small cap space, right? Secondly, I think many of the small caps may be small on a cap basis. But when you look at the business opportunity that many of these companies are operating in, you can well make a case of a 3-5 year profit pool being big, right? But yes, it's very important to know what valuation you are buying a particular small cap, because some of the small caps or the mid caps have become actually 3-4x this year, right? This market gives you the opportunity to buy stocks once you know when to buy, right? So you just need to be little patient in the small caps, because today many pockets of large caps have more value what used to be in small caps a year back, right? So you just need to balance your portfolio.
I want your thoughts on renewable energy, because that space has come back in a big way, right? And that's the government focus area as well, whether it's Startup Power, Inox Wind, JSW Energy, all of these stocks sitting at fresh highs. Any thoughts on whether there are more upsides here, and are you a buyer of this story?
So, you know, when you look at this space, for almost like a decade, I think the space, didn't do anything much, right? Companies had their own share of issues. This year, I think the two things that have happened: first, the government focus has brought a lot of limelight. And second, I think the balance sheet management has been done very well with debt reduction, raising money at different levels, right? So both business leverage and financial leverage has come into play. I would think that while the opportunity from a 3, 5, 10-year point of view globally in India looks very interesting, right? Which models will actually survive, thrive, and build further from here, right? Needs to be, given more time. I would say that the easy money of stocks multiplying 4 or 5 times from very distressed to a reasonable valuation has happened. From here, spotting the winners in the space is going to decide who will further multiply from
So
here.
who are going to be the winners? Rajat, you walked into that one.
There are so many winners already. I mean, look at Inox Wind.
Yeah, Prashant, the day I spot who is an obvious winner, I'll come here and
No, but
Give us some ideas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from the large cap names, we got a couple of financial names.
Yeah.
Give us a couple of, top buy ideas that you'll have, X of the financials, since we already discussed that.
I think one of the very powerful themes that we have been advocating last 12-18 months is this entire travel and tourism, right? I think we have been writing about this now since the beginning of calendar 23, that there is something very different happening in this country now, right? You look at airlines, you look at hotels, you look at all the ancillary businesses which are related to this, right? I think business is booming, and this is here to stay, right? The outbound travel and within India and the inbound travel from outside India into India is going to make sure that the best brands, the people who are able to deliver good product, are going to gain a lot of market share.
Airlines, hotels, what?
I think you
airports.
can pick, you should pick the best names within all of them.
There aren't that many actually. I mean,
And that's why whichever names are the selected ones will benefit more.
Okay.
Because you have some scarcity value of, but by the way, over the next 12-18 months, you may see many options through IPOs coming into this space. This is one space, Prashant, which I think is going to be very vibrant, because this is here to stay, right? I would include to some extent this entire leisure entertainment business also. Look, actually, the key theme is as the per capita is rising in a linear way, where are the incremental savings going to flow through, right? Traditionally, we talk about mutual funds, insurance, etc. Look at what's happened to hospitals, the kind of business momentum that has got built in, because some of these are very structural changes in the country that are happening. And you need to be early into the big brands, companies who are positioned well, right? You've seen market cap creation in hospitals happening. I would think travel, leisure, entertainment, you will see similar market caps getting built even from here over the next few years.
In terms of published ideas in that space, travel and leisure, what, Indian hotels? What's the...
I would think Indian hotels at the top end and Lemon Tree in the mid cap is something that we like, because both of them are using this growth cycle very well to build their portfolio and enhance their earnings.
And hospitals, which are the top ideas?
So Medanta is something that we had covered some time back that continues to do well. Apollo Hospital is another name. So again, you see last 2 years, number of companies have got listed and everyone has been doing well. Again here, spend, organized segment doing well, and valuations which were reasonable till some time back. Of course, now valuations have reached at the top end, but I still think the earnings growth for these companies are going to be very strong.
Okay, well, on that note, thank you for coming in here and brightening up our mood. I mean, it's tough to be very optimistic when the market is falling like this, but thank you for some sane advice, and Happy New Year, by the way, to you.
Thank you. Same to you and everyone.
And it's been a great year for all of us. Hopefully, it will continue to be that way. Well, let's slip into a quick break on that note. On the other side,